Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are really cutting through all the noise about making extra money.
Yeah, there's so much out there.
Exactly. We're talking side hustles, but, the ones that actually work. Our mission here is to give you some realistic, actionable ideas.
No get-rich-quick nonsense.
Definitely not. We're pulling insights from a really solid YouTube video, 13 side hustles that actually make money in 2025. It's from Marco on the Whiteboard Finance channel.
And Marco does a great job breaking it down. He basically puts side hustles into 3 buckets, which I think is super helpful.
Okay, what are they?
So first, there's just trading your time for money, like getting paid by the hour. Pretty simple.
Right.
Then you've got small businesses. These have actual potential to scale up, become something bigger.
Okay, getting more interesting.
And the third one is what he calls the long game. This is where you see compounding, maybe even life-changing money, but it takes serious time and patience.
Ah, okay. So understanding those differences is key, right? To figure out what fits you.
Absolutely, depending on your goals, your time, your risk tolerance.
Got it. Okay, let's unpack that first category then. Trading your time for money. These sound like the quickest way to get some cash flowing.
Generally, yeah, they're often the most accessible.
So if you want quick income, but maybe leverage skills you already have,
Yeah.
what's top of the list, according to Marco?
Well, maybe surprisingly, number one is consulting.
Consulting. Okay.
Yeah, especially if you're already a professional, marketing, finance, software engineering, architecture, that kind of thing. You leverage what you already know.
And the pay.
Potentially really good, like
Yeah.
$50 an hour up to, well, he says even over $1,000 an hour.
Whoa, okay. $1,000 an hour. That's serious. How does that even happen? What's the barrier?
Well, the key insight here isn't just what you know, it's really who you know.
Ah, the network effect.
Exactly. Your professional network isn't just for finding your next 9 to 5. It's like your best marketing tool for finding high-value consulting gigs right now.
So use LinkedIn. They put up a simple website.
Yeah, exactly. The startup cost can be super low, maybe zero, maybe a few $100. It really hammers home that idea. Your network is your net worth.
That's a powerful way to start thinking about it. Okay, so consulting might feel a bit, I don't know, high level for some folks needing cash now. Let's pivot to something almost anyone can jump into. Gig driving.
Right, the Ubers, DoorDashes, Amazon Flex, Instacart.
Yeah, all those. Super accessible, quick cash hits the bank.
Yeah.
But there's always a but, isn't there? What's the catch?
Oh, definitely. They're easy to start, sure. Low skill needed. But the core insight from the source is that it's less a side hustle and more like being a really inefficient self-employed worker.
Inefficient how?
Well, the net earnings, after you subtract all the costs.
Gas, wear, and tear.
Exactly. Gas, maintenance, extra insurance, because you're using your personal car for business. It often shakes out to maybe $12 to $25 an hour, not the, 30, 40 plus people sometimes throw around.
Okay. So the flashy numbers aren't the whole story.
Not at all. And he calls it a never-ending hamster wheel because the second you stop driving, you stop earning. There's no leverage.
That hamster wheel image really sticks.
Yeah.
Okay, so quick cash. Yeah, but maybe not a path to wealth.
What about other car-related stuff? Marco mentioned valet driving. He seemed to actually like it.
Yeah, he said it was one of the funnest jobs he had in college.
Mm.
And it can be surprisingly profitable.
Really? How much?
Like $20 to $40 plus an hour, often with cash tips, which, add up.
Okay, better than the gig driving net pay, potentially.
Potentially, yeah. And location is huge. Think fancy hotels, upscale restaurants, private parties. But here's the unexpected bonus. The networking?
Networking while parking cars.
Seriously, you could meet high net worth people, athletes, movie stars, who knows. The startup cost is almost nothing too, maybe just some decent clothes.
Huh. That's a really interesting contrast to the isolation of gig driving. One's a grind, the other's almost like networking on wheels.
Kind of, yeah. It's a different vibe. Okay, sticking with that theme of cash tips and maybe flexible hours, what about bartending or serving? Marco mentioned doing that too.
Yep, another solid time for money play. Similar earning potential, maybe $20 or $40 plus an hour, especially in the right places.
Right.
But it's physically tough work, right? And you're often working nights, weekends. Not for everyone. Startup costs are minimal again, just need the right attire.
Makes sense. Okay, shifting gears a bit. What if you're more academic? Tutoring.
Oh yeah, tutoring's a great one. If you're good at math, science, test prep, like the SATs or ACTs, That knowledge is valuable.
And who should you be tutoring for the best returns? Is there a secret there?
Well, the earning range is huge, like $15 to over $100 an hour. And Marco kind of hints, maybe not so subtly, tutor kids that have rich parents.
Right. Makes sense.
Parents will pay top dollar for SAT prep, ACT prep, getting their kids ahead. You can do it locally or online using platforms like Wizamp.
And startup costs.
Pretty low, maybe nothing if you use what you have, or a couple hundred for a whiteboard, a better webcam, some materials maybe.
Okay. And the last one in this time for money category, Marco mentioned something a bit more formal, niche.
Yeah, becoming a notary or, more specifically, a loan signing agent.
Okay, how does that work?
You can earn maybe $15, $20 plus an hour once you get certified. The startup costs aren't too bad: certification, background check, your notary journal, stamp, maybe a bag.
But is there a catch here, too?
The key thing here, the insight, is that just getting certified isn't enough. You have to build a local network, connect with lenders, closing agents. That's how you get the actual work.
So even here, networking is crucial.
Absolutely. Even when you're just trading time for money, who you know still matters.
Okay, this is super helpful for understanding those immediate cash options.
Right.
But now, let's move into category 2. This is where you said it gets really interesting. Small businesses.
Yeah, this is where you start building something that could potentially grow much bigger than just an hourly wage. It takes more effort up front, maybe more capital.
But the ceiling is higher.
Much higher. You're building an actual business, not just selling hours.
So what's an example the source highlights? Something maybe unexpected.
Well, how about balloon decorations? For parties.
Balloon animals. Or like arches and stuff.
More like the arches, elaborate displays, yeah. Party decor. He says it's actually got a pretty low cost to get started, but high potential for going viral.
Viral how?
If you do great work and share it on Instagram, maybe YouTube, people see it, they want it for their parties. Marco even mentioned hiring someone for his daughter's christenings who made like a few $100 just for that one job.
Huh. Okay. Startup costs?
Could be just a couple $100, maybe up to a couple thousand. You need materials, helium tanks, stands, a pump, maybe some marketing stuff. A van or SUV helps for transport, but maybe not essential right away.
Interesting. Okay, sticking with the party theme. Party rentals, like bouncy houses.
Exactly. Bouncy houses, inflatable slides, that sort of thing.
Now that sounds like it could scale. Marco mentions potential earnings of like $1,000 to $20,000 plus a month.
Yeah, the potential income is definitely there. High margins.
But I sense another but coming. This sounds like it carries some serious risks, right? What if a kid gets hurt?
That is the huge issue here. The liability is significant, and the source points out those waivers you have people sign, they might not actually hold up in court. That's a critical thing to understand.
Wow, okay. That's scary.
Yeah. Plus, you got logistics, storage for these huge things, insurance, making sure they're clean, maintained properly. And if you want to scale, you probably need big vehicles, maybe even a warehouse.
And the initial cost must be way higher, too.
Oh, yeah. Anywhere from maybe $1,000 to get started small, up to $50,000 or more if you really go for it. The juice here, as Marco might say, requires a lot of squeeze, especially on the legal and operational side.
Right. High reward, but definitely high risk and high hassle. Okay, what about a classic, real estate? Like Airbnb or just being a landlord?
Yep, the classic income stream. Super popular, potential for hundreds, even thousands a month.
But what's the reality check? Is it really passive income?
Not really, no. The earning potential is massive. Could be unlimited if you scale, but you could also lose money.
Ow.
Well, first, it's not passive, especially Airbnb. You're basically running a hospitality business, dealing with guests, cleaning, maintenance.
No.
And the big risk, the insight here, is regulations. Local rules can change, and suddenly your business model is, well, busted. Marco mentioned seeing lots of accessory dwelling units, ADUs, or lake rentals get shut down because of new short-term rental laws.
Oh, ooh, that could wipe you out overnight.
Exactly. And startup costs could be zero if you rent out a room you already have, or it could be hundreds of thousands, even millions if you're buying property.
So definitely not simple and very location dependent.
Right.
Okay, that covers the scalable businesses. Now, the third category, the long game. This sounds like where the real potential for like financial freedom lies.
Yeah, this is about deferred gratification. Putting in the work now for potentially huge payoffs later. Maybe even freedom from the 9-to-5 altogether.
Okay, I'm listening. Where does Marco suggest we start looking for that kind of transformative potential?
Well, he starts with blogging, which, feels a bit old school maybe.
Yeah, is blogging still a thing?
Apparently, yes. Still highly profitable if you do it right. Focus on a niche you can connect with, get good at ranking on Google. You can make thousands a month from ads and affiliate marketing.
Okay, but
Hmm.
the video also had a pretty stark warning about AI, right? Saying it's decimated some blogs, traffic dropping like 90%.
Yeah, that's the huge caveat now. AI content generation has definitely shaken things up.
So how do you square that?
Yeah.
Is blogging still viable or...
It comes down to authenticity. That's the absolute key insight for blogging, or really any content creation now. With so much AI stuff out there, real connection, your genuine voice, that's what stands out.
So AI can't fake authenticity?
Not really, not in a way that truly connects long term. So yeah, earning potential is still technically 0 to, well, millions. But you have to be authentic. Startup costs are still low domain, hosting, maybe some SEO tools, maybe a few $100. And you can use AI tools like Claude or ChatGPT for research. But the writing, the connection, that has to be you.
Got it. Authenticity is non-negotiable. Okay, what's next in the long game? Marco's favorite.
His favorite, and he says the most scalable, but also the hardest, is starting a YouTube channel.
Ah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Given his channel. Why so appealing, but so hard?
The potential is just massive, 0 to unlimited, truly. He talks about how it transformed his own life, getting him out of a cubicle.
What the hardest part?
Consistency, providing real value, week after week, month after month. Building trust, it takes time, a lot of effort, and getting started. You can use just your phone, maybe some cheap lights, so technically $0.
But realistically,
You'll probably want to invest a couple grand eventually. A decent DSLR camera, good lighting, and crucially, good audio. He really stresses that good sound is more important than perfect video.
interesting. Audio over video.
Yeah. And again, AI can help brainstorm ideas, but the content, the delivery, the personality, that's all you.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, what if you like writing, but blogging feels too public, or video is just not your thing?
Then a paid newsletter could be a really strong option.
Like Substack or Beehive?
Exactly. It's kind of a middle ground. Build an audience who really likes your writing, then offer a paid subscription, maybe get sponsors. You become like a mini media company.
Potential.
Can be significant, especially, he notes, for finance-related newsletters. Some are apparently doing 5, even 6 figures a month.
Wow. Okay. Startup costs.
Pretty low again, 0 to maybe a couple hundred for a custom domain or some design help. It's really about building that direct relationship with your readers.
Cool. Okay, last one. For the creative types, the makers.
Yeah, this is for the entrepreneurial creative spirits. An Etsy store or maybe other e-commerce stuff like Amazon FBA, selling digital downloads, print on demand, custom gifts, turning your creativity into cash.
Sounds great. Potential.
Again, 0 to unlimited,
Yeah.
but big but.
Market saturation.
Exactly. He warns, suddenly everyone is making farmhouse signs or laser-engraved cutting boards.
Right. How do you compete?
The key insight here is you have to stand out with your marketing. Be different. He references Seth Godin's book, Purple Cow. You need to be remarkable, not just another seller.
Be the purple cow in a field of brown cows.
Precisely. Startup costs here vary wildly. Could be almost 0 for digital products or thousands if you need equipment like laser engravers, sewing machines, inventory, shipping supplies. Depends entirely on what you're making and selling.
Okay, wow. That's a lot of ground covered. So, recapping. We've got trading time for money, for quick cash.
Right, like consulting, driving, serving, tutoring.
Then scalable small businesses, more effort, more potential, but maybe more risk.
Balloons, bouncy houses, rentals.
And finally, the long game, needing patience and authenticity, but with potentially life-changing upside.
Blogging, YouTube, newsletters, e-commerce. Yeah. Marco's breakdown makes it clear there really is something for pretty much everyone, depending on where you are and what you're aiming for.
It really does.
And connecting it back, to the bigger picture for you listening, it's maybe less about just which side hustle sounds good and more about why. What kind of effort do you actually want to put in? What kind of freedom or satisfaction are you really looking for long term?
Yeah. Is it just about the money or something more?
Exactly. It's aligning the hustle with your deeper goals.
Which leaves us with a final thought to chew on. What's the real cost of just going for the easy, convenient option? And conversely, what's the true reward of that patience, that consistent effort needed for the long game when you're building financial freedom?
Maybe the best side hustle isn't just about the income stream at all.
Maybe it's the one that actually aligns with your purpose, so the grind doesn't feel so much like a grind, but more like something you're passionate about building.
Yeah, something like that.